It's official. We're in business, guys.
All right.
Here's what we do it at, baby. Cooperative economics. What's happening, everybody? This is DJ the Money Coach coming to you live January 17th, 2024. And history has already been recorded. That's right. We just opened up a 220-unit luxury residential resort in Zanzibar. We also are completing 4 luxury townhouses in Zanzibar. And we're also going to open up the Pom Pom Lifestyle Resort in Zanzibar. It's Africans for Africans, supported by Black Americans unapologetically. So what time is it?
The Pom Pom
Lifestyle Movement can't be stopped. Hit the link. Join us on the Beaches World in Zanzibar. Home is ours. Peace.
All right. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another episode of Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach. And this show is brought to you by the DJ the Money Coach team and the 7 Spheres of Money Systems. And before we get started, hit that like button, share the video with at least 5 people, and subscribe to DJ the Money Coach right here on YouTube so you can help us spread the word, spread the good news, and spread the message of the Pom Pom Lifestyle Movement. And like you just saw in that opening video, the Pom Pom Lifestyle Movement cannot be stopped. And if you're new here and you're wondering what is the Pom Pom Lifestyle Movement, Pom Pom Lifestyle stands for plenty of money and peace of mind. And when you roll with us, we invite you to join us on the Beaches of the World Club. And the Beaches of the World Club, it's a 365-day, 24/7 club. It goes nonstop. And you can decide where your beach is. And we're going to go to our beach tonight. And our beach, for this show is Memorial Day weekend, honoring the brave, our fallen service people. So let's get into it. Happy Friday, DJ.
What's happening, Nick? As we always say, any day above ground on a Friday is a great day in America with our health. So first and foremost, we want to wish people a very healthy day. And if you are not having a great health, we will pray for you emphatically. And this is a very important weekend because Memorial Day is what it says. All your freedom that you have in these United States of America is because of the soldiers, the leaders, the generals that have given their lives for our freedom. Freedom is not free, ladies and gentlemen. There's blood that had to be spilled for you to enjoy the freedoms that we have here in America. And no matter where you go, there's no better place than America. No matter what has transpired in America through antebellum, slavery, Emancipation Proclamation, all of that. I've traveled around the world multiple times, and I always give thanks that I am an American, no matter, even when they are biased, institutional, systemic racism, which I never, played a victim card. But the reality is the freedom that I have through, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the preamble, the amendments, it allows me to be 100% me, 24/7, 365, unapologetically. And I don't have that luxury in other countries, not in the motherland, not in the Caribbean, not in Europe. That luxury is right here because there was blood spilled personally for me to be able to be 100% me. And the reality is that Memorial Day was created by us. Go do your research. I'm not going to get deep tonight, but they said, if you don't know your past, your history will repeat itself. And most likely that's the negative aspect of it. So if you don't go back and read and study what we have done for this freedom, then your freedom deserves to be taken from you. And that's what the epitome of Memorial Day weekend and Memorial Day is about, is that right now it is more important for you to know why you are free, because the government, the leftists, the one percenters, they are every day trying to take your personal freedoms away from you. And they give you what I call the fugazi, making you think that you need them to have a better life of freedom. So they offer you like universal income so that you can give up your rights to get a free check. But see, that man that fought in World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War, did not die for your rights to be taken from you. And the only reason why America is still free is because of the Second Amendment. Let's keep it facts. You have the right to bear arms, and we're the only country that gives you that right. So the government, if they could eliminate the Second Amendment, they would, and then they would take over all your freedoms. But as long as they know that there's 330 million people in America and there's 400 million guns, it's very unlikely they're going to try to cast a siege over all the major metropolitan cities, because it would be foolish. But they've been trying to get you desensitized by coming out with movies that make you think that we're about to embark on another civil war. So for those young men who are out on the battlefield, unfortunately now are fighting wars that got nothing to do with America. And all those wars are pertaining to greed and oil. The last three major wars that have happened in my lifetime all have been about money and oil and power that has nothing to do with about American freedoms. Don't take my word for it. Go do the research. If you thought that 9/11 was what it was, then you didn't know the facts about the pipelines that ran through those countries. I'm talking about the oil pipelines. So shout out to all the families who have lost loved ones through all servitude for these United States of America. She ain't perfect, but she's the best we got on the planet. And how do we know? Because every other country has tried to live our Western lifestyle. But what is starting to happen is that they're starting to revert back to their traditional ways, because we've run off the cliff on the leftist agenda, and all the blood that's been spilt for the right reasons is no longer valuable, because we have diminished the sacred reality of our freedoms and our constitutional rights. See, if I'm coming across the border and I don't have to put no skin in the game, and I can vote in America without being a citizen, what I give a rip about you, Nick? I didn't have to give up anything that you gave up to vote. So what I give a rip about you? But conversely, if your great grandfather died and fought in World War II or the Korean War or the Vietnam War, you got skin in the game. So you're going to be very reluctant to give up your individual rights because blood literally was spilled for your freedom to disagree with people about whatever. Because we got this bill and this Constitution that tells me that these rights were given to me by God, not by the government. So put your flag up in honor of people in your house that have served and have fallen for your freedom. Don't sit up here and be one of these, DIE people or DEI and talk about all this systemic racism and how much hatred you got for America. If you got somebody in your house, be it a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, or if it's unfortunately a mother, a grandmother that actually went on the battlefield and shared their blood, you better put that flag up in honor for their lives because they went there for you. Here's another thing what's so important about Memorial Day weekend. And what I want you to do, I want you to pull up the wall in Washington, D.C. If you can find the wall with all the names on it, because there's a name on that wall that belongs to me. But here's the thing. The top 1%ers are getting so out of line that they're now bringing the draft back, supposedly. Are they bringing the draft back because America is under attack? Or they're trying to bring the draft back so they can continue to cause chaos across the world for greed? Think about that. If you have a young son and probably now a young daughter, the 17, 18 years, and they talking about they now got to put their name down for the draft. Man, do you know that was one of my biggest fears growing up? When I got to be 18, I had to be concerned about being draftable. And I was thinking, man, my dad already served. My uncle already gave. My grandfather gave his life. And I now got to go give up my freedom because I could be drafted? And when they did away with the draft, man, I was so happy. Because boatload of my people, men at that time, had served and few of them died for my freedoms. I only had 3 fears, man, when I was growing up, man. Only 3, man. I had a fear of dying young, fear going to jail, and fear going to war. And because, just like, Jesus gave up his life for the world to have salvation, that's what Memorial Day is about. And it's even sadder, ladies and gentlemen, that people have died under friendly fire. And again, man, we got young kids out here, fighting wars right now that got nothing to do with America. Nothing at all. So proudly put your flag up. If you have somebody in your lineage that spilled their blood for your freedom to be whatever you want to be, heterosexual, homosexual, transsexual, pansexual, that right is because somebody spilled their blood for you. There's a multitude of countries that those last few, other than the first one I said, heterosexual, those are terminated by death sentences. But because somebody laid down their life for your freedom of the Constitution and the, amendments, you can be and say whatever you want to in this world, in this country. I can't tell you that in the other countries. But right here, right now, even if it's ungodly, you can carry around here and be born a man, a male, and you can say because you feel like being a female, you can parade around like a woman. Because your uncle, your father, your grandfather, or your great-grandfather died for your freedom. The Battle of Normandy. To me, Vietnam is the one that's the most important to me because the most important person to me shared their blood to save their platoon for me. So if you have the chance, ladies and gentlemen, to get to DC, go pay your homage to the memorial wall. If you have somebody on that wall that you personally know, go pay homage. Man, it took me, and I'm sad to say, Nick, blood was spilled for me in 1968 in September, and I didn't go visit that wall to 2017 because I just couldn't fathom going to that wall. And it was a watershed moment for me. And I can't go back. But my children been to the wall 2 years later. And so just think about this. And I want our people to understand this. Is that all the craziness and the debauchery and the reprobate minds that are being displayed right now in our pop culture is because somebody on this wall shed their blood for your freedom to be stupid. Your freedom to be a degenerate. I think in Singapore, man, if you spit gum on the sidewalk or throw paper, they cut your hands off. Now, if I'm wrong about that country, but I'm pretty sure it is that country. Put to death for being homosexuals in a lot of African countries. Socialism. Think about that. Communism. You work and everything that you make goes to the government. Even though we don't like how high taxes are here in the United States, man, look at the taxes in Europe. Look at the taxes in Greece. Look at the taxes in Italy. You ought to thank your lucky star. This is still the only country that people are running to and not running away for in droves. We got 6, 7 illegal people coming here every year, millions. And legally, we got 2 to 3 million people coming here through the right process year in and year out. Tell me what country on what continent has that? People cross the Rio Grande and risk their lives just to have the ability to step foot in this country. People take boats at night from Cuba just to have the freedoms in this country. I don't see anybody running to the Ukraine other than our knucklehead president giving them billions of dollars. I don't see anybody other than Ukrainians running to the Ukraine. I don't see anybody other than Jewish people concerned about Israel or Palestinians about Gaza. Let's keep it real now. Maybe one thing that we should do as it relates to the draft is like what they do in Israel, that every citizen is required to spend 2 years in the military immediately when they turn 18 or something like that. Maybe we should constitute like they do in the Mormons, and you have to do mission work, a requirement. And maybe, Nick, we would get back on the right page because we would understand how lucky and fortunate we are to be born Americans. So you should take time out and think about when that tragedy of 9/11 occurred, when all Americans, creeds, colors, ethnic groups, religious groups all came together for a good 30 days. And we put all the BS aside because the lives that were lost and we understood America was under attack. That's what Memorial Weekend and Memorial Day is about, is that think about who paid your price for your freedom this weekend. And instead of you going out and partying, turning up and all that, how about drop down on your knees in homage and pray, go out to their site, put some flowers on their grave. And even if you don't have anybody directly, you know, blood has been spilled for your freedom in a multitude of ways. And we don't understand why that is so important. But until you put yourself in that situation and that knock comes on your door to take all your freedoms, you're not going to have the actual honor and reverence for the people who did it and didn't think twice about it. I mean, think about the privileged professional athletes that when 9/11 occurred, they stopped playing professional sports and enlisted and went over there and fought in a godless war. I think of this guy, Pat Tillman, who played for the Arizona Cardinals, and he had a great life playing professional football, making millions, and that brother, at the drop of a hat, went and enlisted in the military and went over there, and unfortunately, he got killed by friendly fire. But he still gave his life for your freedom. Think about that. See, we're rotten at the core because we don't value the sanctity of freedom like we used to. And the Chinese know that. The whole world know that. We're like that little dog that just barks with no, real meat to actual, bite. But this weekend is about understanding how to get back to being real solid Americans. And I know a lot of people, expats, they travel and I'm going to live here in Africa for the rest of my life. And you know what? 1% of you, that actually works. And I believe in having the freedom to go travel and live anywhere you want to. But man, I tell you, as much time as I spent in Africa and love it, it still does not give me the sense of freedom that I have here. And y'all may say, man, that's hypocritical, DJ. But you know what? I can't lie to you. You know why? Because I've been conditioned under a certain type of government that is just not in process or even being administered in any aspect of Africa right now. And yes, I hear you. But if you got all the resources, man, you can do whatever. But let me just be honest with you. When the stuff hits the fan, and it's going to happen, and you're going to want to run to that bunker and all of that. And if you ain't part of, the royal family or the parliament or whatever in those countries, your money only going to take you so far. Let's be real about it. And I'm saying this especially to you beautiful Black women who have the biggest luxury of freedom of traveling abroad. And y'all might not want to hear that because y'all take it for granted. You hop on a plane, you travel here, you travel there by yourself. You're a little bit naive because people come up missing all the time. Or you go over there and you acting with all these freedoms that you think you have here, and guess what? You off in some jail and nobody remembers your name. There's Americans right now because they were too American in foreign countries and thought that they had to be concerned about nothing and they're above reproach that have disappeared. And we're talking about people with resources, Nick. Because those people in those countries, hey man, you ain't spilled no blood here. And you violated principles and morals that we don't believe in here, and there are consequences. So those freedoms that the women in Muslim countries that are fighting that you already have, in order for them to get them freedoms to drive and walk around unveiled and stuff like that, there's got to be some bloodshed. Because freedom ain't free, baby. That's why today I have on this shirt with a rhino, which says running headstrong into negative opposition. And without you having the ability to be a rhino, there is no freedom. See, you have two options when somebody comes to take your freedom. It's either to fight or to submit. And nowadays, we've got a lot of submitting going on, Nick, because those individuals have no value of the freedom that's been given to them. So they're submitting and they're doing things that are illogical, inhuman, and indecent. But soon as you have to give up your livelihood, you'll start having more reverence for them little freedoms that you have. You know, in certain countries, you can't even say certain words. Look it up. Now here, we try to PC everything and tell you, oh, you can't say this, can't say that. Hey, man, I have my freedom to say what I want to say. Be it respectful or disrespectful, I have the freedom to do that. Now, hopefully, I'm going to have dignity. I'm going to be, respectful, diplomatic. But the reality is, if I am a free man, I can do and choose to say what I want to. So these fallen service people that are giving their lives, make it count, ladies and gentlemen. And let's get out of these social streets and stop concerning ourselves about rap beefs and stupid stuff that has nothing to do with you. But you got to be wise enough to know that they're putting on an entertainment show so they can take all your freedoms. And it just behooves me, Nick, when I see grown-ass men and women in their mid-30s, 40s, 50, 60 years of age talking about this silly stuff because they have become victims of information attention deficit disorder. Because they got to have clicks and all that. Got nothing to do with your freedom. And at the end of those clicks is a check to buy your freedom. Think about that. So I always say to people, Nick, you don't have to like me. You can hate me, but you better respect me because my freedom was paid for. And if you're not willing to die for what you believe in, you deserve what you've been dished. I mean, occasionally I get people send me, TikTok links. I don't have a TikTok account. They send me stuff, and I'm like, man, I'm not clicking on that silly stuff. Why am I going to give that any, legitimacy when I know it's just BS? But if it's something that's really important, life-threatening, we're going to get an alert on it. You know what I'm saying? So, we're always appreciative of people who follow our show because, this is Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach and Nick Westbrooks. And it's very rare that we get a chance to really get serious about what life is really about. Man, freedom is what it's all about. If you don't have motivation to get out there and get it done, man, be motivated by the freedom that you have. And if you haven't had opportunity to travel outside of these United States of America, go outside and live and experience the real way that most of these people are living. Not the 1%ers, ladies and gentlemen. So when you're watching IG and YouTube and you see these people traveling around the world living boom, 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 and they got everything, hey, man, that ain't reality for 90% of the people on the planet. Let's just keep it a buck. Okay? It is not. And hats off to the people who are serving our military right now. Hats off to the people who are in the police department, the fire department, the paramedics. And I know in our community, we're getting misinformation about, hey, man, F the police and all this. Hey, man, 9 out of 10 times, those police are solid people. You know how I know, ladies and gentlemen? I have a lot of police in my family that look like me. Have a few firefighters in my family that look like me and they solid people. It's unfortunate that we live in a sensationalized world that's about, sound bites and TikTok videos. And they're always going to show you something that represents the minority of what's really going on. Don't get me wrong. Systematic racism exists every day. But the reality is this, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a middle-class American, you very rarely have to deal with the stuff that people sensationalize. And they know this. Why is it that I could turn on a news channel anywhere in America and tell you the exact same thing is going to be on every time? Every time they lead in, what's the first 2-3 things they talk about, Nick? On any news channel you can turn to.
Oh yeah, they're gonna give you the bad news first. They're gonna tell you about the wars. They're gonna tell you about who shot John. they're gonna lead off with that, and then they'll just throw in a little fluffy piece at the very end after they done already manipulated your emotions negatively.
Yeah, and the sad thing about it, because those institutions are not owned by us, they're gonna put a black face on it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be smarter than that, man. Let me hip you to thinking is the hardest job on the planet, and social media is designed for you not to think. And why did I say that? And how does that relate to Memorial Day weekend? Well, real simple. There's this amazing genius out there named Terrence Howard. Yeah, you think he's the actor. But I'm going to tell you this. Y'all need to check him out because this brother is a scientific savant and an absolute genius that knows the history of physics. And what do I mean that I bring this up is that The capacity to think and to grasp what freedom is really about requires you to do research, read, study, and don't just take what's been fed to you as true. So I'm going to challenge you to check out tcotlc.com. Matter of fact, Nick, pull that up. This is Terrence Howard's website, and check this out, Nick. This brother created it, man. This is why I love our people. The three major technologies that allow us to do this are what, Nick? And who are the people? The three major technologies that allow us to get on these videos and everything. Number one, Emmett McHenry. He's the creator of the .com URL. Had the first contract with the Department of Defense that in order for you to get a URL, you had to go to his company to actually see what the internet can actually do for you. That's a black man. Forced out of business. There will be no alphabet companies. Yeah. So stick with me on my work. So check this out. So there will be no alphabet companies. I'm talking about Google, Apple, and all of them. Those are called the alphabet companies. I'm not talking about the alphabet mafia. Okay. I'm talking about the companies. So Emmett McHenry, he created the .com. And then them smartphones that we get on, the technology to transmit the actual signal was by a gentleman with the last name Robinson, who's a black man. How do we get on the internet 90% of the time? Through our smartphones. And then all surveillance, personal, was created by a black woman. Now, none of them are billionaires. They're not even 100 millionaires. And guess what? That technology is used for war. The satellite phone, the satellites, the star system. Those wars, your family, father's father, great-grandfather fought for those freedoms for you to have here in America. And now, Nick, this gentleman here, Terrence Howard, he created the first patent in 2010 for AR/VR. All the virtual reality stuff, he has it on here on his page. You can actually go. Dude, this is amazing. The actual audio, video, and video VR system was created first and foremost by Terrence Howard. And if you go, I forgot what page link he has on here. I should have pulled it up and told you what it was, where it can be found on his website. But it shows 2010, the patent. I mean, it's, man, word for word for about 7, 8, 10 paragraphs. Everything, world patent, Nick. World patent. This brother spent $260,000 to get this patent, and they kept trying to charge him more. Everybody that cites the right to do video reality and audio reality has on his website under his patent that everybody, Sony, Google, Raytheon, the government, his patent, Nick, has generated over $7 trillion worth of business, and that brother has earned not one penny because his attorneys were trying to gouge him and abandon his patent after he spent $260,000 to get the patent. I can't make this stuff up, guys. But guess what? How does this tie in? And I don't know Terrence Howard. Always had high regard for him. Other than I never condone his domestic violence, but his intellect off the chart. But maybe, perhaps, if Terrence had somebody, and I don't know this to be true or not, that immediately, like his dad died for his freedom in the wars that were fought that I mentioned, Vietnam, World War II, maybe he would have spent $1 million to keep that patent, and he would be a 300-400 billionaire. Can y'all understand the relationship there? Because see, when you have something given to you, you don't fight for it to the death. But now he's fighting to the death because he's created this amazing technology that's going to take the next level in flight and in physics. This brother got 97 patents. And he's debunking stuff that Einstein came up with, Newton came up with, and he makes it, what do we always say the definition of genius is, Nick? What do I say the real definition of genius is? You remember?
Yeah, something to the effect of making complicated concepts simple to understand.
Yep. Instead of you being the only person that can understand complicated things, real genius, ladies and gentlemen, is taking, E equal MC squared 2 and making me understand it like I was in third grade. So what Terrence Howard has done, he's actually shown you on his website and in his book. It's a free PDF that break down everything. He just did an interview with 3 hours on Joe Rogan, and it was sent to me by Tajir. Shout out to Tajir. And dude, I was mesmerized for 3 hours, and this brother's intellect was third dimension times 10. Might be the smartest guy I ever came across in my life, because the dude could explain everything, the periodic tables. He broke down how gravity really doesn't exist. Talked about the power of electricity and hydrogen and how they actually work together, and carbon and nitrogen. Brother, man, I was mesmerized. I watched this program until 4 o'clock in the morning. I downloaded his book, started reading it, and it made sense to me because he talks about the technologies that can prevent wars, man. And he talked about how 0 is not a number. And then he talks about something that I always knew, man, how could the square root of 2 not be, 1 times 1 not be 2? Dude. Yep. Y'all like, man, DJ, what does that got to do with Memorial Day week? Hey, man, I'm just here sharing information with you. As my pastor, Donald Rackett, always told me, hey, it has to be meaningful, measurable, and manageable based on your comprehension of the book, which he was talking about, which is the Bible, which I call BK1. Hey, man, everything that the government tells you, everything that the private industry tells you is not true. How about you turn on your brain and do some deep thinking and get to the real answers that God wants you to have? And guess what? Maybe we would never have to have another Memorial Day weekend celebration. Because at the end of the day, 90% of wars in the modern era, in the 20th and the 21st century, were all about money, oil, greed, and power that had nothing to do with your freedom. So with that said, Nick, let's take it to the break, and then let's bring it back and wrap it up. You're watching Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach and Nick Westbrooks, and today is a celebration in remembrance and in reverence of the fathers, the sons, the grandfathers, the great-grandfathers, and the women that unfortunately thought that going to war and being a soldier was their calling, for us to pay homage and honor to, and make sure you put your flag up with the most respect and don't worry about being canceled if somebody already paid the ultimate price. They gave their death for your life and your freedom, which I have been given personally. We'll be right back after this break. All right. We're back. You're watching Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach and Nick Westbrooks. And we are honoring our fallen service people on this Memorial Day weekend. And if you have someone that has served in our, 5 branches of military and they gave their lives for your freedom, even if you don't understand it, you should be given the ultimate reverence. Put your flag up. If you have the ability to go visit their site, go visit it, put some flowers, drop down on your knees and give, honor and praise and glory to your honorable father who actually got you your freedom, because freedom is not free, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that simple. And stop getting caught up in all these foolish things on social media that are only designed to, distract you. There's nothing wrong with good, solid entertainment. We all need to have a happy and carefree life. But when everything comes down to it, you need to know why you are a free person on this planet, regardless if you don't think you love this, country called America because what it may have done to your forefathers. The reality is, I'm telling you, you go anywhere, Africa, Europe, all of that, and you're going to want to be back here now. 1 to 2% of you love being over there forever. And hey, man, my hat's off to you. But again, if we're not that great country and we are rotten at the core now, why are everybody still breaking their back to get over here? Now, we do have a few amount of people that are reversing that trend and they're coming over here making the loot and going back to their home to make it better because they want a republic. You catch that one on the way home because it ain't about a democracy. Freedom is through a republic. Okay? Go check it out. It's not a majority by one vote. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think our last 2 presidents, one won the common vote, but the one that got put in office won the electorate. What is it called? I'm got my words mixed up. The electoral vote, right?
Oh yeah.
So remember, so even when Hillary ran, I think she won the popular vote, but she didn't win the electoral vote. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think that was the one.
Yeah. And even with your boy, your Uncle Biden, come on, man. You got these people now that are in office who have skated the draft and all kind of things but they call the shots over your livelihood. Think about that. And here's things that you need to understand about freedom. Your freedom is not instituted by the government. And most importantly, on the national level, that's not the most important aspect of your vote. Your vote is the local vote at the congressional level, the state level, your precinct, because that's where most of your livelihood is affected. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, because now the president is just a figurehead.
Mm-hmm.
But that person in your local council, your Congress, your state, your precinct, that person is what's either allowing you to express all your freedoms in your neighborhood or restricting your freedoms. It could be just as simple as a vote in your HOA. It could be as simple as a vote for your mayor, your alderman. These are the people that have the real power over you, not necessarily the ones at the federal level. But again, if you don't understand the power of freedom and no, blood has been spilled for it, you're going to take it for granted. Because we play in the world of the money and the power controls everything. It's like the Wu-Tu clan said, hey, Cream, cash rules everything around me. The money, dollar bill, y'all. And we're so quick to chase after frivolous stuff. Emphasis on stuff. You don't know what the true value of life is about. You don't understand the importance of dad and mom being together to raise up the children. You don't understand the importance of participating in the Parent-Teachers Association at your school so that they don't institute some foolish stuff about alternative lifestyles that they shouldn't be talking about anyway to your young children. Because, again, you didn't understand and appreciate the value of that person that spilled blood for your freedom. And that's the reason why we have to memorialize and give honor to those people. What allows us to hop on planes and go internationally is that passport. And they're restricting those freedoms. Think about it. Big Brother is everywhere. Go read George Orwell's 1984. Go read what is it? Uncle Tom's Cabin? Is that am I saying that properly? Where people get mixed up the difference between Sambo and Uncle Tom?
Yep. Yeah, it's Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yeah. So guess what? Uncle Tom was the good guy. Sambo was the one that robbed you of your freedom. And it always amazes me, some of the most intellectually highly accomplished people get that wrong all the time. Go read the book. Matter of fact, that book, here's the irony of that. And this goes to your freedom. That book, what's her name? What's the lady's name? She stole it from the brother. Who's the credited author of that? What's her name?
Yeah, Harriet Beecher Stowe.
Harriet Beecher Stowe, but she stole that whole story from, what's the guy's name? I'm trying to.
I can't remember it.
Yeah, but he was a former slave, and he wrote the whole story, and she stole it from him because she had freedom, and he didn't have the amount of freedom that she had. So he told the story word by word, and she stole it and wrote it. Pull it up. Again, if you don't know your history, it will repeat itself negatively. That's no difference in what's the burden the bourbon what's that bourbon? It's comes with the black label.
You talking about the Uncle Nearest?
Uncle Nearest. Yeah. Yeah, what is now they gave him some credit, but what's the name of the major bourbon that they gave it? Because
is it Jameson?
No, it's not Jameson. Help me out in the comments. You guys know what I'm talking about. But my point is this, ladies and gentlemen, all of those freedoms have been stolen from us. And think about this. Shout out to the native Indians. And here's why I say, because they were willing to die instead of being enslaved. And I know that some of them just didn't have the physical makeup to handle the toils of slavery physically, but most of them said, hey man, you can just kill me because I'm not going to live on my knees for the entirety of my life. And I know what you're saying, and this may seem, this sounds callous, but hey, Dale, we fought through and we overcame to become. Yeah, we did. But you know what we gave up? We gave up community. We allowed ourselves to, be bought. And we see it every aspect of our lives. Because again, if you don't have any skin in the game, it's so easy to change your principles in your constitution. But when you have skin in the game, you will stand up and pay the price. Man, I'm going to tell you what the ultimate sacrifice and the epitome of Memorial Day is. And this person is not dead, but this person is paying the ultimate price for his freedom. Look up this guy in New York. I think his name is Taylor. He just got sentenced to 10 years, sent to Rikers for building his own personal guns. And even though he was within his constitutional rights of the Second Amendment, the liberal court sentenced this brother to 10 years for making firearms that he didn't sell in the privacy of his own home. Look him up. New York, state of New York, Taylor, I think it is. And here's the sad thing about it, Nick. They put a black woman to send a highly intellectual black man to jail. Now, here's the moral of the story. While Nick's looking that up, ladies and gentlemen. This gentleman could have said, hey, I'll take a cop plea, get a couple of years, or get this vacated because I have a 16-year-old daughter and parents that are well up in the age and need me. And even though I'm right principally, I'm not going to fight this fight. I'm going to stay and be a full-time father in my daughter's life, which he was, and helping out my parents that are, very, weakly physically. But this guy, this is tough because I doubt if I'd have had the gonads to do this. This dude fighting for his freedoms that were given to him. And even though it wasn't supposed to be 10 years, he's fighting right now a 10-year sentence for creating an own handgun that this guy is a genius too. And he's fighting the fight. And instead of being put into a federal prison, they send this guy to Rikers.
It's Dexter Taylor.
Can you pull it up on the screen? Let these people see it and see. This is a guy who knows what the cost of freedom is. And again, ladies and gentlemen, it would have been hard for me to stick my, pole in the ground because of what I was giving up, but what in essence, I can have nothing but the highest regard and respect for this guy because he's showing his children, albeit they need him, hey, this is what freedom is about. I'm right. The Second Amendment gives me the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment gives me the right to build a private gun for my own personal use. And he didn't even create it where it can fire. And because he challenged the court, a liberal court, they decided to not only throw the book at him, but throw him underneath the jail. Amazing story, Nick. But I can bet you that Dexter Taylor's dad served in the military. And I can bet you somebody in his family gave up their lives for his freedom to say, you know what? I'm going to stand on principle. I'm not going to live on my knees and genuflect because you know what? Yeah, my 16-year-old daughter needs me. My parents need me. But you know what? I cannot live in a good, clear conscience that my rights that were given to me, that I'm not willing to die for them. And this dude is another amazing savant as an engineer, Nick. This dude was the pillar of a stand-up citizen. And they said, dude, so much so, the guys and the guards and everything at the jail, they got nothing but praise and respect for him and treating him with the utmost respect because they too, even though they have to enforce the law, they believe strongly in the Second Amendment. It's crazy, man. So they're appealing this, but his attorney said, hey, man, the likelihood of them reversing this is very slim to none. And about time it does get reversed, he will already have served the 10 years, most likely, and something he could have took a real short plea and probably only got like 24 months. This is what Memorial Day weekend is about, and Memorial Day. Because this man is going to die on that hill. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen. But we're right now more concerned about P. Diddy, Kendrick and Lamar. And Drake. Silly stuff. Better yet, we up here doing remixes on Congressman Crockett versus MTG. Come on, man. Whatever happened to decorum? Whatever happened that you're supposed to carry yourself a certain way when you're in these, prestigious positions that represent our country? But I can be so quick and sharp with my tongue and prove it to you in a public, tax-paid, legislative meeting versus showing some decorum. And even though this person couldn't because they're not smart as you or as well prepared as you, you stoop down to their level and you gave up your freedom, but you think you winning, but you're not winning. And why do I say you're not winning? Because guess what? No matter how great she dogged old girl and cut her up with her sharp tongue because she's a lawyer and she trademarked the saying and she's selling shirts, guess what? Can you really honestly say, man, I love for that person to represent me? That's not Malcolm X, baby. That ain't even Martin Luther King Jr. Because see, Malcolm X would have cut that lady up with just pure, unadulterated, regular words and been dignified. Martin Luther King would have just took what she said, let it roll off her back, and kept moving. And I hear you. I hear you, you liberal, feminists, and fight the power. black people, yeah, man, certain time, man, you got to let them know you can't be pushed, bullied, and controlled. Hey, man, there's a whole other way to do that. Because there's rules and there's regulations. And even though you may not think you got the power, but hey, the sword is more powerful. I mean, the pen is more powerful than the sword. So you can't tell me a lady with a law degree, which she has, couldn't have found some power to the pen to put her in her place in a real way versus just snapping off at her like she's, doing the dozens. I had never even heard of this lady. And I had somebody, man, this lady is fighting for these things. I said, but she just diminished all that by sitting up here and allowing that, white woman to bring her down to, caveman. But immediately the person tells me, oh man, there's many times when you see white men and arguing in the Congress and everything. Okay, cool. Just because they do it don't mean you do it. And even if they're arguing, shouldn't you do it with some level of dignity and decorum and respect? Maybe I might be wrong, but the way I was raised, unless somebody put hands on you in certain environments, my mother and my father and my grandmother and my grandfather said, hey man, DJ, this is the way we act with the name on this back. But if somebody put a hand on you, all bets are off. But again, hey man, I could be wrong, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to, carry myself differently so my children can carry themselves the way that I think is honorable. And yep, I don't recall, she didn't use profanity, but the way she talked and the way the other girl talked and brought her down, she triggered you. And then you get the other chick who ain't even from our culture, and she's going to act the way she thinks that we act as black women. Man, dude, you're talking about embarrassing. But today they say in the Bible, all that is good will be evil, and all that is evil will be good. And today we live in a world, ladies and gentlemen, that everything that can make you money and power, no matter how trashy, degenerate, reprobate, perverted it is, if you got money and you got power, you're good. But guess what? You ain't gonna be able to reconcile that with God. So I've said enough. This is our Memorial Day tribute to memorialize our fallen service heroes who gave up the number one gift that you only get once, which is your life, to hope that we have a better world for it and that we do better because they gave their lives for our freedom. And all I ask you to do, ladies and gentlemen, think about humanity. Think about forgiveness. Think about grace. We all need it. And think about mercy. No matter what your situation can be, don't automatically do what you think somebody wants you to do in terms of your reactions. Take a step back. Ask for forgiveness. Or be the person to forgive. And let God settle the final score. And I know that might be easier said than done, but it's the best thing to do because you don't ever want to say, man, I have a regret. I wish I could have taken that back. Understand this. Yes, sticks and bones can hurt you. Words don't. But the reality is, once you put something out there in this day and age, verbally or written, you can't retract it or remove it. And sometimes they say a fool is wise when a fool keeps their mouth shut. Or the other saying is, a broken clock is right twice a day. And again, that's easier said than done. And whatever your situation is, try to take a step back and think about it and think through it and say, hey, you know what? Let me take the high road in all aspects of our lives, be it business, be it personal, be it spiritual. Take the high road and you will be better for it because people will remember that. And everyone who had a family member who gave their lives for our freedom, make sure that you pay the ultimate homage to them. If you're able to visit their gravesite, you're able to make a donation to the charity, or you represent yourself to the highest level of your godness, please do so. So, with that said, we want you to continue to run in headstrong into negative opposition, be rhinos, be graceful, and we wish you a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money, peace of mind. Come join us on the Beaches of the World Club, and we'll see you next time. And let's get ready for Father's Day weekend coming up in a couple of weeks so we can pay homage to the real man that's keeping it right when it ain't popular to be principled. I'm DJ the Money Coach. On behalf of Nick Westbrooks, you're watching Family Finance Friday. And again, enjoy and celebrate Memorial Day weekend for what it's really about. And congratulations to all the graduates, and congratulations to my son who graduated yesterday. He's amazing, and we're so happy and proud of him. And may everybody enjoy the official, unofficial kickoff of summer with Memorial Day weekend. God bless.
Some of the best things that I like about Zanzibar was being on the land, seeing the emerald water.
Got to see the island, connect with the people, do exclusive luxury experiences that you'll only get on the island of Zanzibar.
The beach, fresh food, the people. I mean, I could write a short book about what I experienced here.
Eating the best fruit, vegetables, seafood.
Met some amazing people. We had an amazing time.
I like the tours that we went on, the Spice Island, and the Paradise Island.
The snorkeling. That was an exclusive experience. Huge sandbar. That was set up like our private dining area. The sand is soft, the water warm.
Unadulterated, pure, simple, Zanzibar.
So the opportunity in Zanzibar is very, 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 very clear. There is nothing but economical growth and development happening right now.
Zanzibar, just because it's an up and coming area.
You get here and you see the opportunity.
And then you come on the African side, you get to see even a different type of togetherness.
Being able to ask questions, and DJ was just like, hey, ask me anything.
Plenty of money and peace of mind. Zanzibar all day.